Hey guys, thank you so much for walking on over here to Two Awesome Men. We're going to talk about the new Loki series. We just want to say beforehand, we are going to do a very brief non-spoiler portion to this video.
Yeah, because it's going to be very hard to talk about the show without talking spoilers.
Yeah.
Even from the first episode, they reveal stuff that they didn't really reveal in the marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for those, a lot of people are like, well, you can read the comics. To that I say, shut up, first of all. And secondly, like there are people who don't read comics a lot. Maybe like us.
Yeah, we're honestly pretty casual viewers.
Yeah, and so a lot of people like that who don't read the comics, who don't know what could possibly happen. We don't want to spoil it for those people at all, just because we wanted to go into it like we did. So we're just going to talk about just a very quick thing about non-spoiler. First of all, I just want to say, I like this show a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Oh yeah.
We're in the minority here. But before this, I found Loki to be a pretty overrated character, in the sense of he was overused.
Right, yeah. I did start to like him a little bit after, but at the beginning, like how many times they used him as a villain kind of got overdone. And I thought this was just going to be kind of, not really a cash grab, but just like, it felt like his story ended in Infinity War and they should have just ended it there. But I feel like they came up with a way to make his story feel like it was needed. And this show has huge consequences on the MCU as a whole, so it's a pretty major show.
Yeah, and this show made me like his character a lot more. And I don't want to make it sound like I didn't like his character, because I did. I just didn't care to see much more of him. Yeah. But because of this show, this show made me like him a pretty decent amount. Other things I want to talk about is just the characters of the show are pretty good. Owen Wilson, I love Owen Wilson, don't get me wrong, but I didn't expect him to be like this, like one of the best things about the show. Him himself was like one of the best things, but especially whenever it's him and Loki talking, it's just so good. Their chemistry is so great.
Between them, it got a lot more philosophical than I was expecting. Just them talking about higher powers and all that. And another huge standout for me for the show was the music. Honestly, like this music is some of my favorite in the entire MCU. The only thing that kind of beats it is probably the Avengers music.
Another really cool thing about the show is like whenever you first walk into it, it seems like it has a concept that might make everything very uninteresting. I was kind of worried about that because the concept of the show, it was like it might make the entire a lot of stuff very uninteresting, even stuff in the past. Yeah. But they really made things really interesting. They did it really good in a way to where it really just kind of made things more interesting.
Exactly.
And so
especially once you get to see the finale and you realize why everything is the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes it really interesting.
And probably the only non-spoiler problem I had with the whole show, and she's not in a lot, which it really surprised me. Wunmi Mosaku. She was in a movie called His House, and it really surprised me because she was really good in that movie. I don't know. I guess it's just a kind of character. I'm not sure what it was, but she was probably the only actress in the whole show. The only actor in general, just the only actor in the show that just wasn't that great to me. There was even points where she was bad.
Yeah. Especially towards the beginning.
Yeah, at the very beginning, she got bad. As the show went on, she got better, but she never it never felt good. It either felt like mediocre to bad. Yeah. Which was kind of, like I said, is disappointing, which I haven't seen her in a lot. I know she's in that Lovecraft Country show. Yeah. I haven't seen that.
She's also in one scene of Batman vs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, in the Ultimate Edition, she was in more scenes.
Yeah. But from what I've seen her in, from what I've seen her, a lot of her acting in, which is His House, I was actually pretty disappointed in how she acted in the show.
And I do have one other non-spoiler complaint about the show. I've kind of noticed this in the Marvel movies here recently. Not really here recently, but the past few years. There's always a handful of scenes where the green screen is really bad. Yeah. Not just bad, but distractingly bad. Yeah. And I feel like in this show particularly, there's a lot of those. There's obviously a lot of good special effects in the show, especially for it being a show. Yeah. It's mind-blowing how good special effects they have in some scenes. But in some, there's just oh God, that looks really bad.
I think the worst was probably when it came to episode 3.
Oh, yeah.
I believe. Episode 3.
When they're on Lamentus.
Yeah, which episode 3, I don't think it was necessarily a bad episode. I just do think it was probably it felt the weakest. And it definitely. I've seen people like Jeremy Jahns. We can play about him a lot of this. But Jeremy Jahns said that episode 3 was completely useless and it was a filler. I don't think it was a filler. I think, who was it, Canadian lad that said it's not a filler, it's a bridge.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes more sense.
Yeah, and once you watch the rest of the episodes, you understand it was a pretty important episode.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it was definitely my least favorite episode.
Yeah, because it was pretty slow, and it was kind of a little bit boring, like that. But yeah, in regards to the CGI, that's probably when it was the worst, when you can really tell there's green screen, which is always weird to me whenever stuff like this, like whenever we talk about Infinity War, so much, the CGI was so great, and there was just one part whenever
Bruce
Banner was popping his head out of the
it's like the most epic part of the movie. It's like completely ruined by that.
Because there was 2 parts. Whenever he finally took off his helmet, he's like, yeah, and he and you could tell. And then there was whenever everyone dusted away in Infinity War, and it was really serious. You could just see him in the background, and it was really bad CGI of him out of the, what's it called, the Hulkbuster suit. So I mean, it's just weird like that, because this show actually had some really good special effects in it, especially towards the end. But then there was just moments where it was like, man, that is some really bad green screen.
All right, now we're going to go on to the spoiler section of this review. So if you haven't seen the show and you don't want to watch this section before you see it, you can just skip to this timestamp, and you can see our grades for the show. But here we go. Yeah. I said, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I didn't mean to that.
You're trying to reference our second episode, our second video.
The second video ever.
Yeah, or our second review.
Here we go.
Yeah, so like I said, overall, I actually like this show quite a bit. To me, it's hard for me to say whether or not I like this one more or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Honestly, WandaVision would have been up there if it wasn't for that last episode, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this show in general was really good. Pretty much like we were bringing up in the non-spoiler section. This show has a concept that seems like it would make things really uninteresting, like past stuff, but it actually makes it decently interesting. And it's 2 big things, right? Number 1, the TVA, for some, whenever I first watched it, I got worried it's going to make things uninteresting, how everything's kind of controlled,
right? Yeah,
and everything is already predestined to happen. And then the idea that we are now with a Loki that hasn't gone through all the character development,
exactly,
that he,
because this is Loki from 2012, right after the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, and so I was really surprised to see like they actually did really, really well with that, you know. With Loki's character, because in this right here, he starts realizing things that I don't even know if the old Loki realized about himself.
Yeah, he honestly probably went through more character development in this show than the Loki that we had in the original timeline.
Yeah, exactly. And you start really learning stuff about him. Like, for instance, the whole interrogation with him and Owen Wilson, it brings up a lot of stuff about, like, why do you do this? Do you do this because you like it? Why do you do this, Yeah. And it's because, he does it to kind of for power.
Right.
Because just to kind of out of fear for power and stuff like that.
It is really interesting because you were talking about the TVA earlier. I feel like he couldn't have gotten this character development if it wasn't for the TVA.
Yeah.
Because like you said in the first episode, like this is like the greatest power in the universe.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So like he was able to like drill into this kind of therapy session with him and Owen Wilson, and him kind of realizing stuff about himself. So yeah, not only that first episode where he got to see the original Loki's life and having closure with his father, accidentally having his mom murdered, having closure with Thor, then having his neck snapped by Thanos. That was enough character development. But then they went even further with them going through that time loop, and I forgot what episode it was, with Lady Sif, and realizing that he feels like he's going to be alone forever. Yeah. So you get the sense of he's a very insecure person who feels like he's not going to have anybody. So he has to put on this facade of being evil to gain power. You start to see a little bit more layers with them in this show.
Yeah, and I saw some. Well, I'll say, I don't know. Do we just bring up the name? Because we can bring up a lot of this show. Jeremy Jahns. I just want to make it clear we don't have any problem with Jeremy Jahns.
Yeah, we obviously watch him a lot.
We don't have any specific problem with him in general. We just find ourselves disagreeing with him quite a bit. Yeah. And it's film. It's not like we're calling him an idiot or anything. Yeah. It's a subjective issue. So we're just talking about it. But he did bring bring up in his video how he was said, what did he say? How he doesn't see how seeing your net get snapped would just automatically switch you as a person. I mean, he said something else different than that.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like that really kind of discredits the actual everything else that he saw.
Yeah, because that's not like the only thing that he watched.
Yeah, that was like the last thing he saw. That was like the very like breaking point almost. You know, but maybe not the complete breaking point, but the breaking point of him kind of being open-minded to all of this. You know, and so. Because he, like you said, he saw all that. He saw that his mom, you know, he pretty much responsible for his mom dying. He did all, you know, he saw all this stuff, you know, and seeing all of that really does put put everything into perspective a little bit more. Exactly.
And not only that, but he saw that he was able to have that kind of life. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to be who he was being this whole time. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but he found an even better purpose with the TVA.
Yeah, I think it also gets really interesting whenever you get into the realm of that whenever you get pruned and you kind of just go into this whole little world, you know.
Yeah.
And probably my only other issue, right?
I know where you're going with this.
Is I was like, you know what would be cool. Because I think I think it was like somewhere in the middle of the show. Yeah. I think it was one of the writers announced that.
Oh, I think it was a director.
It was a director.
Yeah.
Announced that Owen Wilson was not going to say "wow" in the show. I was like, maybe they're just once you got to that episode, whenever you saw all these Lokis, right?
Yeah.
That variant of that episode. I was like, maybe they're trying to surprise us and like have a ton of Owen Wilsons all say "wow" at the same time.
Yeah, that would have been pretty great.
And have one of the most epic Owen Wilson wows of all time.
Yeah, the biggest missed opportunity in the show.
And I think what's also really cool about that whole part, whenever all these Lokis are there, is that also kind of brings into that character development. You know, because well, they're all there and. You know, like it's cool because it's like it means that like Lokis are just so ridiculous of characters.
Yeah.
That like there's so many of them that get pruned.
Yeah, and so mischievous that they always do something that they're not supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a really kind of cool concept. That, like Lokis just do that. But also, what's really cool about that is I feel like there was a very subtle moment of character development there. They don't really focus on, but it's just a very subtle moment. Whenever he's watching all these Lokis fight over each other, it's kind of like, this is me.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I do all the time.
This is what I look like.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And you can kind of see him like really embarrassed just watching them.
Yeah, because he's already grown. At that point, he's already grown, you know? So maybe if he had just gotten there and like right when he got to the TVA, he got pruned there, it'd probably be a different story.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
But the fact that he's gone through all this character development in this one show, and he got there, it was kind of like a moment of like, man, like, what is this? You know, it was very subtle, but like, I did like that aspect of how they kind of displayed all the character development he had right there.
And the big complaint that I had, that was a spoiler, was just the fact that, so they brought in this other version of Loki, and her name is Sylvie in the show. And they have a love story between our Loki and Sylvie. And I feel like that is one of the weakest parts of the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because it was like one of the most important parts of the show because their connection is what drove a lot of what happened throughout the show. But I just feel like I didn't really feel their connection. It just felt very forced, kind of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't like hate it. It wasn't like terrible or anything.
Yeah. I didn't not see it at all, but I definitely didn't see it nearly as much as they wanted us to. Like I could tell it was I think it was at the point where I could tell what was happening.
Yeah.
Like whenever she got there, I could tell what they're trying to do. They never felt like they fully developed that relation that they're trying to do.
Exactly.
You know?
And then she pulled a Peter Quill, which I guess we can segue into that season finale.
Yeah.
When she set up the entire multiverse war, the multiverse saga.
Yeah, exactly. That was pretty cool. Whenever they had Jonathan Majors in here, because I mean, if you don't follow like all the Marvel news, you wouldn't understand really what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, or if you didn't really know who Jonathan Majors was or anything like that. But also, you know, if Nando V Movies had put up a video, if you haven't seen it, so go to Nando V Movies channel,
which we referenced his channel in our Black Widow review.
Yeah, because he's like one of our favorite YouTubers. He just has really good ideas, and I feel like a lot of directors and Marvel should really like come to him and ask him questions, like give him the script, like, hey, is there any, you have any notes for this?
Fixes,
yeah. But whenever he pretty much talked about how he explained what he felt like was going to happen, and this was before the last episode, he explained what he felt like was going to happen with Loki, how it was going to end. You know, and after we watched
it was like after episode 4, wasn't it?
Was it after episode 4?
Yeah, he predicted what he thought was going to happen in season finale, or what he wanted to happen in season finale,
and what he felt like could have had like the most interesting outcome. You know, and after we watched it, we were like, man, if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a pretty big letdown,
right?
And he really just completely, like predicts the entire ending. Of
exactly.
The show.
So in conclusion, if I were in charge of Marvel, here's how I would play this out. Immortus would be the villain of Loki. Knowing the error of his ways, Immortus is trying to create a timeline where his past self never becomes Kang the Conqueror. Part of his quest involves using the TVA to kill millions of people, and at the end of the first season, Loki stops Immortus. With Immortus no longer controlling the timeline, Kang is able to begin his conquest.
He really did, which I'll put in the link in the description, because he does explain that Kang pretty well, the character that Jonathan Majors played.
Yeah.
Well, a version of him that he played in the season finale.
Yeah. And what was cool, so whenever you had Jonathan Majors, I wasn't a huge fan of the way he was acting at first, because I think whenever I saw him, I kind of was thinking like Kang popped in my mind, you know. But whenever you really start watching and you understand his character is someone who's been there for like year, he says eons, like he's been there for like a long time that we can't, like amount of time we probably can't even comprehend, you know. And so he probably just doesn't care, you know. He's like, whatever, you know, right now. And so his character kind of really displays that kind of emotion of like, who cares now, because, you know, time doesn't really exist, you know, or you know, so like that's when I really started kind of liking his performance in it. I mean, hopefully, I can imagine he won't act like that whenever he is Kang, you know. Hopefully he isn't, you know, but that did get me excited for it.
I will agree that even after just watching the whole episode, just for a while, I was really going back and forth on whether I liked his acting like at all or not. Even knowing that he was a different version of Kang here. I do really hope his acting is a little bit better when he's actually Kang. But at the same time, I did start to like his performance more, especially because I watch a lot of reaction videos on YouTube. So watching that scene over and over again, I did start to like it a little more than I did the first time. Yeah. But I am really excited to see how he is.
No, exactly.
He has pretty much his future pretty made.
Yeah.
Because there's so many versions of Kang that he can play now.
Yeah, exactly.
And who knows how many movies he's going to pop up in as a different version of Kang. So
and so like he's going to be actual Kang. He's announced to be in
Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man,
Quantumania or something.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Yeah. I'm excited to see that. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is a strange thing to present his villain in, but at the same time, it does kind of make sense.
Yeah, I do like that they introduced him in here first. Yeah. Even though the first like Kang is actually gonna be in Ant-Man 3, I do like how they like at least introduced the idea of him in here. And the actor in here.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I just realized we brought up Lovecraft Country already.
Jonathan Majors is in that.
Jonathan Majors in that. I haven't seen Lovecraft. Like we said, we haven't seen Lovecraft Country. So this is, as far as I know, this is my first time watching his acting.
Yeah, I did watch a few scenes this morning that he was in. Not. I only watched like 2 scenes. Yeah. But he does seem like a good actor, so I do have faith in him. And Marvel is really great at casting too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I have faith in them too. And just with what this season finale set up, it's really exciting. It's crazy how Marvel has like set up, like gotten people and me included so excited for the future this soon after Infinity War, because they have like there's so many possibilities that they can do now with the multiverse, and especially like Spider-Man coming up. It's the rumors of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are becoming more and more like real feeling, even though I'm still not getting my expectations up that high for that happening, because I don't want to be let down if it doesn't happen. But just it is exciting just what they can do, like the doors that have opened up with like the X-Men, Fantastic Four. That's probably how they're going to bring the mutants in with from another universe. So it's just going to all make sense, and it just all feels so natural how it's happening.
Yeah, especially since it seems like Sony and Disney have gotten a lot more friendly here lately. What did like Sony like allowed it to where the Spider-Man movies were going to be on Disney Plus?
Oh yeah, I think they're going to go onto Netflix. I think for an amount of time, and then after that, they're going to go to Disney Plus.
Yeah, so it seems like hopefully that's like a sign that they're starting to get a lot more friendly with stuff, you know, and maybe having that multiverse. The only thing I'm really not looking forward to is having the Tom Holland Spider-Man with the
Venom.
The Venom.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I hope that's just another version of Venom, a multiversal version of Venom.
Like honestly, when it comes to comics, if there's one thing I really want to happen is the creation of Venom to happen the way it does in the comics.
Because it is a pretty cool story, the backstory between them.
Now I do believe this. If there's one thing I'm okay with, right? I've talked to you about it before, but I do feel like would have been a really cool idea is if they had that that character Brad.
From Far From Home.
Yeah, from Far From Home. If they had him like be Eddie Brock.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean it'd be cool if it was Eddie Brock, but like that character I felt like would have been perfect to become Venom. You have that connection where Eddie Brock, like Peter really embarrassed Brad in front of all of his classmates.
Exactly.
Like all the stuff.
And so they had that rivalry already.
Yeah, they had that rivalry, and so I feel like it really would have worked for him to become Venom later on, you know. And I'd be cool if they had named him Eddie Brock, and I doubt they're going to do that, but I do feel like that would have been a cool build-up, you know. Yeah.
And just with that ending, it made me think about two different things. One, when in Infinity War, when Doctor Strange saw those 14 million possibilities and he only saw one that worked. I wonder if it's because there's only one possible way it could have gone.
Oh yeah,
because of the way that the one who remains, what they call him in the season finale?
Yeah, the one who remains.
Yeah, the one who remains only allowed one possibility happening. Yeah, so I wonder if that's the reason why he only saw one.
Yeah,
and two, it makes me wonder how much the Ancient One knew about the TVA and just in general how much she knew. Yeah, because she was the one that stressed that they couldn't allow other branches to happen, and she's the one who said that they needed to return the stones after they used them.
Just to finish off, I just want to bring this up because one thing that always irritates me about people and people watch movies is, so right now we're getting into the MCU and the MCU is going to start dealing with time. Okay, so please just cut them some slack for any potential plot holes. Yeah, dealing with time is the most, and especially to this level, right? To this level, the MCU is gonna be dealing with. Okay, dealing with time like to this level is one of the most difficult things to deal with because you have to make sure you're paying attention to so many things.
Right, exactly.
You know, and like even some movies that I will say there are some things that you can kind of find plot holes in Loki, and I think we thought of a few of them. Yeah, you know. Right. But like to me, when it comes to movies that deal with time, unless it's just outrageous, I try to cut movies some slack when it comes to time travel plot holes. Yeah. You know, just because it's just such an insane thing to deal with.
One final thing, just that very final scene of this show, Loki, whenever he runs to Mobius and the hunter lady. And tells them that somebody's coming, and then they like don't recognize him and don't remember him, and he realizes he's in another timeline, and then sees the Kang the Conqueror statue. Yeah, that's honestly, like I said earlier when I was watching the reaction scenes, just over and over this morning and yesterday. Just that scene is honestly one of my favorite scenes of the MCU now. Just about how well it was acted, how well they built up the next like Thanos level villain. Yeah. Just everything, how hyped it got me. Yeah. Just it's just a really awesome scene.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
And it also really reminded me of the ending of the original Planet of the Apes movie, whenever he sees the Statue of Liberty and realizes he's on another planet.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It was very reminiscent of it. I wonder if they were inspired by it.
It's possible. It did have that feeling to it. We are going to say that Loki is 84% awesome. Well, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about the Loki series. what are your predictions for the future? Do you have differing opinions to us? Also, let us know what you thought about this video as well. And I've said this a few times, and hopefully we actually do it. Hopefully we actually start our podcast back up again, because I do want to start it back up. And hopefully, and hopefully we keep doing this for a little bit longer. Our subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud is about to expire. We're no longer college students, so it's gonna be very expensive.
And we don't know anybody in college anymore. So we can't use their email to get a discount.
Yeah, so it's pretty expensive. But I think you your job might have some with
it.
So
I need to look more into it.
Yeah, so hopefully we can renew that subscription so we can keep doing this. If you're interested, you can subscribe to that podcast. Like I said, we haven't done it in a long time, and hopefully we'll pick it back up soon. It's the Awesome Padron podcast. So if you want to check that out, you can.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.